All right, good afternoon. I'm John. This is the last installment of the PLC group meeting for the Chromebook research that I've been doing. Present today are Dr. Karen Barker, the Director of Curriculum, and Mr. Evan Horton, the Director of Student Services. A couple of the PLC members could not be present, but I want to address that. Ironically, of course, my research involved the Chromebook usage, and doing a digital meeting is one of the advantages of having Chromebook access in the classroom. And I can give a couple of examples of that concrete evidence. With the ability to use the internet to do live broadcasts, having a meeting such as this, there can be members present at the meeting that are not actually in the classroom or in the room. They can be broadcast in through the internet and the use of Chromebooks. I have some specific experience with that. I'm actually working with a homebound student who has a health condition that keeps her from attending school numerous days a week. So one of the solutions that we came up with as a group was to use the Chromebooks to do a live broadcast in the classroom with the teachers. So when they're doing lessons, they broadcast their lessons, and the young lady is at her house in her bed, for example, and she's able to attend the classroom session. So having access to the Chromebook and the internet, it's all right. Come on in, Mr. Olvey. Appreciate it. Also joining us is Mr. Olvey here, Director of Technology. So back to the Chromebook. So the ability to broadcast a live session in a classroom is an advantage of having access to these devices, which a lot of districts that don't have those cannot say. So a good example of a member that's not present at the PLC meetings, we can do a broadcast live and they can attend. So that's a fantastic advantage that we've seen in the classrooms and how that's been able to help. And again, Mr. Olvey just joined us. He's the Director of Technology. So he's been working hand in hand with some of these changes as well. Any of you guys here, is there any updates or concerns from your departments that you've seen with the Chromebook usage? Any technology updates that you've heard from teachers or administrators school-wide, anything like that?
You mean, well, I've done the numbers and we've only, the breakages is a lot lower than we thought. It's even, I think it's probably half of what we thought it would be.
I'll echo that. I've got a third grader, and it's amazing how respectful she is of the device. Mm-hmm. You know, it's traditionally you think a textbook, kids don't really respect the textbook. It comes back a lot of times in much worse shape than they received it. They're really respectful of the devices and see the importance of the device. That's been something that's been a surprise to me.
So thinking, district-wide long-term, that is certainly a financial aspect of things that can be considered. Because when you look at textbook adoptions, the cycle is every 6 years. Millions of dollars are spent on buying those textbooks, and that's really slowly beginning to get phased out. Like Mr. Horton said, with the way the students treat the Chromebooks, and as Jason mentioned, the Chromebook breakage numbers are greatly reduced is what we expected. So you can see how the financial dividends of that for the district, and of course the taxpayers of the district as well, add up. So that's going to be a huge piece going forward as a district plan. So that's another thing to think about and keep in mind. Another thing that has come up relatively recently is the consideration of summer usage of the Chromebooks. Originally, when we rolled out the deployment of Chromebooks, the intent was to recollect all the devices at the end of the academic school year and then redistribute them at the beginning of the next academic school year. Well, numerous reasons have come into play, and our superintendent, Dr. Barker, is considering the notion of letting students take the Chromebooks home for the summer. One of the key pieces of that is really common sense. Literacy and reading comprehension is one of the weaknesses of many students in our district. So the notion of keeping these devices in the hands of students over the summer break will give them the opportunity to continue to be able to learn. A lot of students who may be economically disadvantaged don't have access to technology except for when they're at school with their school devices. So to take those devices away from students over the summer months just doesn't make a lot of sense. So the decision has not been made yet, but the consideration of letting them keep them over the summer is something that we've all discussed as a group, obviously as a district leaders, administrators, are weighing pros and cons about what good ideas about how that will work, etc. So if we do decide to continue to go with that piece, it may be a trial and error type thing with this first year, over this first summer, to see how it goes, to see if we have any issues. One of the things that's come up that people have mentioned is concern about breakage over the summer, that if the devices were to get broke or they needed service. And the solution to that is that most of the technology specialists in the district will work over the summer. So if a student has a broken machine and a parent contacts me, for example, we can have a situation set up where the student can bring the broken device in. We can give them a loaner until it gets repaired, et cetera. So that was one of the concerns that came up, and that's one of the ways that we're going to address that. So that's going to be interesting to see how this pans out over the next month or so. As we get closer to the end of the academic year and that decision's made by Dr. Barker and, of course, the support staff of the district. Another update on the Go Guardian software. That is our observation software that we use, or the teachers use, to observe student usage of the Chromebooks in the classroom. There's been some major changes to that. They previously were in beta mode, but now they're in full working order. So really the transition is from teachers being able to observe what students are doing to now they can control it as far as maximizing the number of tabs students can open on the device at one time, being able to block certain websites that teachers don't want the students to access. One of the most common complaints that I get from teachers is students are distracted by going to websites that they shouldn't be on, games, music websites, things like that. So now with these changes to our observation software, the teachers can block those sites and completely control what students can access before they even walk into the classroom. So there's a little bit of transition time as far as training teachers on these new changes. It's not overly complicated to initiate, but it just takes a little trial and error practice. So I've been really, really busy the last 4 or 5 weeks going to different schools, training staffs, working with teachers, showing them the changes. And I've gotten really positive feedback from a lot of people as far as those being effective and it really changing the way that they do things in their classroom. So that's definitely a plus and a positive. Testing, of course, the state standardized testing is coming up in middle to late April. One of the concerns that we had last year was because the test is now digital, that we would have an issue with the number of available devices, that we've got more students than we do devices, et cetera. Well, that should not be an issue this year, of course, because we've distributed Chromebooks to all the students in grades 3 through 12. They should all have access to the device. Of course, there'll be some students that have broken devices or left them at home, et cetera. But each individual school has a contingency plan for that in place. So come day of testing, it's not a panic situation where we're short 15 devices and we can proceed on with the testing as normal. Jason, you heard any concerns from schools or anything about the devices being ready for testing, Wi-Fi, anything like that?
No, we actually this week did a test of the test. Monday we did they're breaking it down this year, 3rd, 5th, and 8th are testing on the same day. 4th, 6th, and 7th are testing on the same day. We actually Monday did a 3rd, 5th, and 8th. And, most of the schools did fine. We had a couple issues, but that's why we did a test of the test, was to find them. And we corrected them. And then the next day on Tuesday, same thing. Everyone did fine. A couple issues, found them, and they've since retested the test and tried it, and it worked. So, we're trying to stay ahead of it and find the issues before they're for real.
And, realistic, there's always going to be technology issues when you have something of that scope at one time. And I know that the state is aware of that. So, but kind of like Jason was saying, I like the idea of knowing ahead of time of potential issues that can arise, having contingency plans in place. Of course, numerous people will be on call and ready for that window. So I, for example, can take as much stress as possible off of the school administrators and teachers that are responsible for administering the tests. Little things like that are the last thing they need to be worrying about during those testing periods. So that's a great example of being proactive in the district as far as testing things, making sure everything's ready to go, et cetera, beforehand.
I would say we have just a higher level of comfort also. And I think last year everyone was so nervous that they screamed when any little thing occurred. And we've learned to navigate some of those now. And I think the kids certainly play off of the adults' behavior.
Sure.
And I think our adults are much calmer about the Chromebooks, and the kids should do very well this year.
Nothing like experience, as being the best teacher for sure. So having all those available devices, having more experience, having more confidence with the digital aspect of doing the testing should make for a pretty smooth transition as we get closer to mid to late April. So I won't say that most people are looking forward to it, but actually, getting it done and putting it behind us is kind of an exclamation point and a cap on an academic year. And so we can look at things that we can improve on, make plans, and then move forward for 2017, 2018, which will be here very quickly. Also, we just wanted to mention the digitization of text. That's something that we've been researching. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with a representative from the company that is going to be doing that for us. We're looking at some different possibilities of ways that some of the textbook companies are sort of dragging their feet because it's a potential money loss for them because we're not buying actual hard copies of books. Instead, it's going to be a digital version. So looking at all the avenues of that's something we've discussed in previous PLC agendas and meetings. So I'm interested to see what the meeting contains tomorrow to find out what type of update on that. So that'll be tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Of course, all this PLC information is available digitally. I've been sharing things through our Google Drive with different PLC members. Most of really all of the things that I've done in my position are available to all teachers in the district upon request, with training manuals, help links, things like that. So having that internet and that digital access is a great opportunity and tool for our district that we've expanded on. So any other questions, comments from any of the members of the group here? I appreciate all y'all's participation. As our district moves forward with technology, the leap that we've made with the Chromebook distribution was a big one, and I think it's gone really well. And I've been honored to have a chance to do the research with the Chromebook usage in the classroom, the usage by students, teachers, administrators, etc. So I appreciate y'all's input and help with all this as a group. And I look forward to moving forward and getting better. That's really what it's all about. So I appreciate it.
Good.
All right. Thank y'all.